And welcome back, Professor Almeida, jpalmeida.com. Welcome to another critical thinking lecture, and today we're going to look at the web. In a previous lecture, we talked about social media, and some of the strategies that you learned from that lecture will be applied here as well. So with that said, by the end of this talk, you should know why it's important to critically evaluate websites. You should be able to explore the intent of information. And just like you did in social media, we're going to use strategies such as the CRAP principle to evaluate web pages. And from that, you should be able to check for authority, scope, bias, and currency, as well as functionality and ease of use. Now, why should you care? Why should we evaluate web pages? Well, to start, I want you to reach into your pocket and pull this out. Okay, this is a smartphone. Take a look at your smartphone and understand that you are holding the entire body of knowledge from humanity. Okay, it's something that you really have to wrap your head around. It was only in 2007 when the iPhone made its debut. And initially there were skeptics. People laughed it off and wondered who's going to spend $500 on that device. And little did they know that there would be a mobile revolution. Smartphones took off, and for a lot of people, especially in developing countries, this is the gateway to the internet, right? Something to really think about. We take it for granted, and once you understand the power of this device right here, it's something to be amazed at, right? So with that said, you can look up just about anything. If you want to learn anything in this day and age, you're just one Google or Bing search away from it, right? And with that said, there's no more middle people. All of us can be our own publishers. I'm recording a video here and putting it up on YouTube. I'm a publisher, and it's not just for COSA 2. Anyone can find this video and watch it. So anyone can be their own publisher, and anyone can be their own subject matter expert. But how can you tell who's an expert and who isn't, right? Because anyone can publish, and that's a skill that you will need to develop. So with that said, you have to ask yourself if the information you're looking at or something you want to look at is readily accessible and if it's current. Now, if you're visiting a website, ask yourself if there are advertisements. And if you're using an ad blocker, turn it off for a moment. Look at the website you want to visit. Are there advertisements? Because if there are advertisements, can you tell if there are agendas because of those advertisements? Now, think about it for a second. If you're visiting a car website or a website related to cars and there's an advertisement for Ford, do you think that the authors or the publisher of that website are going to write critical pieces about Ford? Do you think they're going to write critical pieces about Chevrolet, Dodge, Toyota, and so forth? So that's something you really got to think about, because if a website is taking advertisers, you have to look for hidden agendas, right? Or if someone has something to sell to you, for example, if you go on to some conspiracy website and they're selling seeds, you might want to question if there are any hidden agendas there. Also, is the source appropriate in your environment? So if you're looking at a website, is it something that you can show other audiences, right? If you're an educator, you need to figure out if the source you're looking at is appropriate in a K through 12 setting. So those are some things that you want to think about. Now, I have a quick pop quiz for you here. Which website below seems more credible? Is it the one on the left or the one on the right? Well, we're going to take a look at both of these websites. Now, if you are in my on ground section, obviously you can all go through this video and get to the punchline. So we're going to do something different in the class. So if you're online, you can take a moment and think about this question here. Which website below seems more credible? You're going to learn how to critically evaluate these websites. And as a matter of fact, I did this very same evaluation exercise as a student. So there's me from 2017 at my graduation ceremony. So what you're about to see are my actual notes, and I really want you to thoughtfully go through this exercise with me, and let's compare at the end. So I'm going to show you the two websites we're going to evaluate, take notes, and let's compare. So let's start with the world's first male pregnancy. So what you're going to do is you're going to visit www.malepregnancy.com. And what I want you to do is to take notes of what you find. And I want you to look at everything. If you have to dig around, please do so. Search if you need to. Once you finish taking notes, I want you to come up with strengths and weaknesses. So again, if you need to pause this video, please do so. Open up another browser tab and then go to www.malepregnancy.com. Once again, I want you to thoughtfully do this exercise. Don't just skip ahead to the punchline, because I want to see if your notes match up with mine. Well, I can't really see it, but that's for you to figure out. So again, www.malepregnancy.com. Take a look at everything, dig around if you have to, search if needed, and then come up with your strengths and weaknesses. All right, so how did you do? Before we get to the punchline and get to my notes, here's a couple of things you need to look for. Let's start with purpose. And these are the questions that you need to ask yourself when looking at purpose. Number one, who is the website intended for? What is the target audience? So if you're looking at a website about cars, perhaps the intended audience is for car enthusiasts or people looking to buy cars, especially if there are car reviews, right? Who authored the website? Can they be contacted? Okay, make sure that you can find a way to contact the authors or even the publisher of the website. Finally, where is the website hosted? So you want to check for domains, right? Domains like malepregnancy.com. Giving away a hint there. So that's one of the things you need to look for when it comes to purpose. Let's look at content. Ask yourself if the content is detailed or is it something superficially thrown together. Is there a hidden agenda? Are they trying to pitch a product? Are they taking advertisers? Because if they take advertisers, perhaps they have agendas with those advertisements. Finally, is the information up to date? Lastly, you want to take a look at functionality. Is the website easy to navigate? Is it well designed? Are there problems with the website, such as dead links, images that won't load, maybe the website takes too long to load? So you want to look at those things. And you can sum this up as crap, right? So I have a emoji over here, and what crap stands for is currency, relevance, authority, accuracy, and purpose. With currency, you want to ask yourself if the website is up to date. Is the information up to date? Is it current? Is it relevant to what you're looking for, right? So if you're doing a search for car reviews and you land on a website, hopefully it's about car reviews and not something else. Authority. Is the author a subject matter expert? Can you look them up? Can you contact them? Can you get some kind of biographical information about that person? Accuracy. Is the information accurate? Is there any false information? And finally, the purpose. Who is the target audience of the website that you're looking at? So as you can see, when we looked at our previous lecture on social media, you can see the same principles are applied here as well. So again, this is called the CRAP principle. So let's compare notes. Visiting the world's first male pregnancy. And these are the things I noticed. The website redirects to a YouTube video. Right? That was the first red flag for me right there. The user is Allison Gray, but the name is RYT Hospital. And upon further review, the only video uploaded by Allison Gray is the world's first male pregnancy, and there's no follow-up. As a matter of fact, Allison Gray's avatar, as you can see here, is from that video. Now, I don't know if you managed to watch the entire video, but it seemed like it was more social commentary. It seemed very documentary-like. And finally, the last question, is it legit? Well, we need to do some digging here, so here's what I did. I managed to find this website here called RYT Hospital at rythospital.com. It was linked from the YouTube profile, and I took a screenshot of what rythospital.com looks like. And it seems professionally done at first glance, but none of the links work. Upon further review, I couldn't find any identifiable authors. It seemed very superficially thrown together. There were no specifics. When I started to Google some of the things I saw, such as Revitalex, John Jay College, Phineas Liu, Virgil Wong, I noticed that the products, the colleges, and awards don't exist, but there was a real name, Virgil Wong. So we dug a little deeper and tried to figure out who this Virgil Wong is. Well, who is Virgil Wong? Virgil Wong can be found at virgilwong.com. He's a graphic artist, a researcher, and a professor. And it turns out that RYT Hospital was a social experiment. So you can see how I used the CRAP principle to evaluate this YouTube video, which came from a .com domain, right? So this is how the CRAP principle works. It's something that you should practice. Now, let's look at strengths and weaknesses, because that was one of the things I asked you to do. Take a look at the strengths and weaknesses. And we'll start with the strengths here. It had an attention-grabbing video title. It's widely disseminated and easily accessible via YouTube. Again, the video is very documentary-like. There was a companion website which appeared professionally created. It's aesthetically pleasing. It's easy to read. And finally, it was a social experiment in critical evaluation. And if you're an educator, this can actually be a useful example for information literacy topics. So if you want to teach others on how to critically evaluate web pages, this is a great example to do. Now, let's look at the weaknesses of this website. Again, it's social commentary. There was no scientific basis. And if you watched the video, you kind of figured out that there really wasn't credibility or any current information. If you look at the YouTube comments, and you know, if you've ever looked at YouTube comments, that's really something that you should try to avoid. But you know, it is what it is. When you look at the YouTube comments, it leaves a lot to be desired. And so therefore, when you ask the question of appropriateness, is it appropriate for all audiences? Well, not really. It's more for older students, young adult learners in a college setting. The website is non-functional, and only Virgil Wong is real. So that's how you can evaluate a website, right? You look at the CRAP principle, you come up with strengths and weaknesses, and then you can make an informed decision that way. So I hope this has been helpful for you. And if it was indeed helpful, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let's move on to another example. Let's look at giftsofspeech.org, or excuse me, www.giftsofspeech.org. Some websites are very picky about that, www. And what I want you to do here is to take notes like you did last time, and also look at the strengths and weaknesses. So I'll wait right here. Again, if you need to pause this video while you look around this website, please do so. Again, don't skip ahead to the punchline. I want you to thoughtfully complete this. And if you are in my on-ground class and you stumbled upon this video, we're not going to use these same examples. All right, how did you do? Let's take a look at my notes here. So, Gifts of Speech consists of women's speeches from around the world. And one thing I noticed about this website is that it had a very constructivist approach. There weren't really any hints or anything to tell you on how to use the website. You had to really point and click your way around to figure things out. And with that said, the intent and scope of the website was not readily clear. One thing I did notice was that Gifts of Speech was hosted by Sweetbriar College, and it had a heavy reliance on image maps and JavaScript. Some of the design decisions are pretty questionable. The navigation seemed very inconsistent, and the site requires the user to use the back button, and that's if it's even supported. There's really no way to readily navigate to other parts of the website. Now, imagine if you're a mobile user and you tried to go to www.giftsofspeech.org on your mobile device, and I actually tried that. Good luck. So that's something that you definitely want to note, especially in this day and age. So let's look at the strengths. So there's credibility of who is providing the information. There's someone that you can indeed contact, and again, this is something that's hosted by Sweetbriar College, so there is some credibility established there. Now, the content is there, but again, you have to know where to look. It's a very constructivist approach. The collections are very detailed, I'll give them that. Again, the contact information is available. They do use alternative text in place of images. So I want to stop there for a second and talk about alt text, because this is something that's also important if you want to talk about accessibility. Alt text is typically used on screen readers, or let's say that because of the amount of bandwidth that this website uses and it loads very slowly, sometimes you don't have time to wait for all the images to load, so you'll stop loading the page. And what alt text does, it gives you a text description of what the image is supposed to represent, at least in theory. So that's what alt text is, and we see that it is indeed present. And finally, it is appropriate for classroom use. This is something that I can show all audiences. Now let's look at the weaknesses here, and this will tell you everything that you need to know right here. It's a lesson in how not to design a website in 2018. Now, Gifts of Speech is indeed current, but from looking at it, it certainly doesn't seem that way. And with that said, usability and aesthetics are very poor. There's no consistent navigation. There's too many clicks and taps needed to find information. If you're on a slower connection, heaven help you. That's all I gotta say. And the design definitely weakens the credibility. So the takeaway here, it's not just the content, it's also the functionality that you have to take into consideration. So if you're publishing your own web presence, you need both the content and the aesthetics. That is crucial in determining your credibility. So let's compare and contrast what we saw. Both sites have major usability issues. The former was a quote-unquote prank, right? It was a social experiment, while the latter was credible. Now, both have potential for examples in class of what not to do, right? One being almost to the level of fake news, and the other in aesthetics, right? So the takeaway from this is that sites not only need to be informative, but also aesthetically pleasing. And if you want more information on this, here are some resources. And with that, that's the end of this lecture, folks. So I hope this has helped you, and I want you to try this for yourself on other websites out there. And if you thought that this was valuable, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. That's all for now. We'll talk in the next video. Thanks for watching. We'll see you later.